Check out the top 6 ways to bow from North Korea. Mess up and you're staring down the barrel of a firing squad, or worse, your folks could end up in work camps. The last was got a Y99 success rate, yet hardly anyone's got the guts to try it. We're talking about the world's most locked down nation here, notorious for brutal crackdowns. For North Koreans dreaming of bailing to a freer place, step 1 is keeping those escape plans on the down low. 'Cause if the regime catches wine, it's game over. They'll toss you in the slammer, or worse, and your kin won't be spared either. Take it from when Jen Yup, the former North Korean Speaker of the House, busted out and made it to South Korea, but his estate cost him big time. His wife and daughter were driven to suicide, and the rest of his clan got slammed with brutal hard labor. Despite the hardcore fallout, waves of North Koreans still roll the dice on freedom every year. As of 2018, the headcount of defectors hitting South Korean soil held steady at 1042, mirroring the year before, and by 2016, some 30,000 have made the South their mutix. But how did pulling off these Houdini acts to South Korea met them one military service on the Korean DMZ? Some folks are so desperate to get out of North Korea, they enlist as soldiers on the border with South Korea. One such guy is Oh Chum-sung, a real-life escape artist. Sneaking out as a soldier at the DMZ, that's the demilitarized zone established near the 38th parallel north after North Korea, China, and the US quits firing at each other back in '53 at Panmunjom, is the third way out. If you're a North Korean looking to book it, South Korea's new narrow and no wonder escape destination list. Oh Chum-sung's story, epic. On November 13, 2017, the dude, just 25, guns it in his military jeep from the Enka border post, heading for the South Korean side. His jeep hits the skids in a ditch, so he hightails it on foot, 4 Enkai soldiers on his heels, unloading 40 rounds at him. He catches bullets in his shoulder and thigh but crashes into the South Korean side, where despite the heat he took, SK soldiers scoop him up and rush him to life-saving surgery. The guy's an overnight celeb in South Korea after that, but lucky breaks like O's are rare. The anti-military's got that border on lockdown, with minefields set up to stop any would-be escapees in their tracks. Soldiers have got a standing shoot-to-kill order on defectors, so trying to slip out as a DMZ soldier, yeah, the odds ain't great. Method 2: joining the labor camps. Alright, let's dive into the second play for ducking out of North Korea, getting in with the labor camps. Back in '67, the USSR and North Korea shook hands on a deal, shipping workers to the vast, sparsely populated stretches of Soviet turf. Even after the USSR crumbled, Russia kept the party going. Fast forward to now, and there are something like 30 to 50,000 North Koreans earning their bread in Russia, pulling in over $1,000 a month. Over there, that's big league dough. A family in Ankai could coast on that for a long stretch. And for these North Korean laborers, jumping ship to a third country from Russia is a hop, skip, and a jump compared to directly from the motherland. Heard it from the horse's mouth. Some dude said over 40 of his crew put it off using this route, but the North's not having it. They've got the system. If they sniff out a defector, it's not just the escapee in hot water. His fam and co-workers back home get the heat too. This has got folks thinking twice, and the numbers choosing this exit strategy are thinning out. Method 3: escapeable. Let's talk sea escapes. North Korea's hanging out with the Sea of Japan on its one side and the Yellow Sea on the other, and it's butted up against China and Russia. And don't forget their archenemy South Korea's lurking down south. So yeah, a bunch of defectors go full nautical to make their getaway. But here's the kicker: dodging the North Korean Navy is like playing the ultimate game of Battleship. The North's got this crazy fleet of around 400 patrol boats, and they're on the lookout 24/7 on both coasts. If these guys catch you trying to make a break for it, you're in for a world of hurt, likely staring down some unspeakable end after a serious bout of torture. Method 4: flight attendant for Air Koryo and numero 4 for slipping out of North Korea, becoming a flight attendant for Air Koryo. Now, don't get it twisted, North Korea might be cut off and a few beats behind, but they've got their own airline, with Air Koryo flying the flag. Their crew gets to jet sent to China, Russia, Thailand, Japan, and spots all over the globe. Sounds like the perfect runaway gate, right? Well, not so fast. In reality, snagging a spot on that cabin crew is tougher than a steak at a cheap diner. They're all vetted like they're applying to be the next 7. See, when North Korea's picking the faces for the friendly skies, they're not just raiding your smile, they're rifling through your family album all the way back to your granny. To wear that Air Koryo pin, you gotta have the right kind of family tree and be as North Korean as kimchi. Miss the mark on those strict rules, and you're flying a desk, not a plane. Plus, Air Koryo usually only hits tarmacs in buddy-buddy countries with North Korea. So even if a flight attendant had the guts to bolt, those countries might not roll out the welcome mat. They're more likely to ship you back first class to income. Method 5. Studying abroad. This one sounds less risky on the surface, but it's actually pretty tough to pull off. North Korea has strict rules for its overseas students. For example, only 400 North Korean students with a college degree are allowed to study in China each year, and while they're there, they're constantly monitored by government minders. Still, there have been successful defections using this method. After all, it's easier to escape in a foreign country where you're not under 24/7 surveillance. But any student with half a brain wouldn't choose this path. Why? Because if they get caught, they'll not only ruin their future, but they could also starve to death in a foreign land. On the other hand, if they return to North Korea, they'll have a bright future ahead of them. And here's the kicker: the very first people to suffer if they do escape will be their family members. They could be thrown in jail or, even worse, sent to labor camps to work themselves to death. The defector would also have to live with the guilt of what they've done. But it's worth noting that only the cream of the crop are selected to study abroad, so they've been thoroughly vetted by the North Korean government. As a result, very few students actually dare to defect. Method 6. Becoming a national
VIP.
The top ticket out of North Korea. Become somebody who matters to the big shots up there. The divide between the haves and have-nots is stark. In the big cities like Pyongyang, folks live large compared to the countryside's north. Traders and officials double in and foreign trade rake in the dough. Once they've stuffed their pockets, they start craving more juice and again. The Ross's special economic zone is their playground. North Korea's unique little slice of capitalism. Here, they make bank through trade, and with power in their pocket, scutting out of Unkai becomes a wider door that's a lot safer to dart through. But get this, the more some of these North Korean wheeler dealers climb the ladder, the less they want to bail. Walking away means ditching the empire they built, waving by the king, and starting from scratch on foreign turf. No small feat. So, unless they're really against the wall, they're not jumping the fence. It's about sticking it out unless there's no other play.